Hey guys, it's Suzanne here from SuzanneHine.com, and I have a really important video for you today that I'm a little bit nervous to talk about, but it's something that's been on my heart and my mind for a long time. And I want to today tell you the truth about depression, the truth about mental illness, why mental illness as we know it does not exist, and my story about dealing with depression and mental illness, and my crazy family that has had a lot of these things happen. So first, I just want to say that a lot of times, there's a lot of people out there who are dealing with depression, who are dealing with anxiety, who are dealing with sadness, and society tells you that you're biologically flawed. And I'm here to tell you that you're not biologically flawed. It's actually society that's flawed. But the good news is that we are society, and as we shift how we respond to our emotions, then we can not only heal ourselves, but create a safer environment in all of society to heal. One prevailing myth is that serotonin causes depression, or a lack of serotonin, but this is completely a myth that's perpetuated by the pharmaceutical companies. And if you do any research, you can even just Google serotonin and depression and find out that there's not been ever one single study that has proven that there's a link. And in fact, there are some studies that say people with depression have increased levels of serotonin. And I really don't believe that depression is a biological problem. I believe it's a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual problem that happens when you are disconnected from your heart and not following your intuition. And at the core, actually, depression is repressed sadness. And this is at the core of all mental illness. All mental illness is repressed emotion and unhealed trauma. And I can say this with conviction because I've experienced it. And this is coming from, so let me tell you a little bit about my story. So growing up in my family, we never really talked about our feelings, and obviously I just didn't know. From a very young age, I was put into therapy starting in first grade. I'm not really sure what was so flawed with me that my parents shoved me into therapy, but they did. And I come from a family rich in mental illness. My father is dead now, but he grew up, he was actually adopted and never even told my mom that he was adopted. So secrets were like big in my family. And then, so he died when I was 14, and then when I was 15, my sister killed herself. She hung herself in her New York City apartment, and a year after my father died. And my mother retreated into depression, and I felt extremely isolated and alone. And because we didn't really talk about emotions in my family, my mantra was strong and cold and never hurt. And I didn't feel like my needs mattered. I didn't feel like everyone told me how strong I was when I was crying inside, but like I just couldn't express myself. I didn't feel safe in expressing myself. I didn't feel that people really honored my experience, and not that they should, because it's really hard. When something happens to us, we want everybody around us to kind of understand, but nobody can understand our pain but us. And after you experience a trauma, there's a certain amount of time when everyone around you expects you to just move on and get on with it. And of course, if you're still suffering and grieving from a loss, then you can't just move on with it. You have to address those emotions. And so I buried those emotions deep within. And then at 27, I got breast cancer. And it wasn't just breast cancer. I have like a genetic mutation. So I had a lot of other medical problems too that I won't really talk about. But it was very, so at cancer, that was the start of me really beginning to honor my emotions, because they were so strong. I felt so much sadness, so much anger that I could not deal. And so I had to feel my feelings. And through feeling my feelings, I was able for the first time in my life to really really heal them, to really move through them. I began to understand, even though no one had ever taught me, I began to understand on a very deep level what it was to feel and heal my feelings. And I began to understand that it was safe to feel my feelings, and that not only was it safe to feel my feelings, but it was a necessity. It was my life had fell off track. In fact, my last journal diagnosis, or my last journal before I got diagnosed with cancer, was I've lost my zest for life. And part of the reason I had lost my zest for life was because I had, I had stopped following my dreams. I had stopped doing what I wanted in order to create this person who would be worthy of love, to be a newspaper reporter who won a lot of awards so that I could save the world, so that I would be worthy of love. And it wasn't my expression of self that was worthy. It was this other need to follow a path that a normal person would take, and to always be happy, right? Because we feel like we have to be happy to be worthy of love, and have to be strong and cold and never hurt to be worthy of love. But that wasn't, my experience. I had to learn how to feel. And I feel that what I've been through is a very, it all has meaning. Everything that we go through has meaning, right? So this whole idea of looking at depression in a different way, a lot of people blame their biology, blame this or that. But every single person that I've encountered, or in my own life, that had depression, there's something else going on. There's something in your life that is unhealed, or there's a passion that you're not following. Depression isn't it's like a symptom of something spiritual, a disconnection from your own heart and soul, because emotions are energy in motion. They're designed to move through us, and when we block them, we block their flow. And when we block the flow of emotion, we're blocking the flow of our lives. And so then we judge that feeling, that emotion, and then it was just crazy, every time. So I mentioned earlier, lost my father and my sister within a year of each other. And I've seen so many therapists over my life, and every single one tried to tell me that I was depressed or bipolar or dysthymic. Everyone wanted to label me. Everybody wanted to just shove a prescription pad in my face, and nobody bothered to ever ask me, do you know how to love yourself? Let me teach you how to love yourself. Or it's okay to feel, can I show you how to feel? It's safe for you to have feelings. And it's like, if our therapists, the very people who are supposed to guide us through these emotional healing experiences, are afraid of our darkness, afraid of our pain, then we literally don't have any examples in our society of what it is to feel everything that you feel. Allow yourself to break down, not because you're weak, but because you're strong. It is the strong people who allow themselves to break. You have to be strong to allow yourself to break, because you have to have faith in yourself that you can rebuild again. I know people who are terrified to allow themselves to break, terrified to cry because they feel like they'll never be able to stop crying. And you know what? Those are the same people who never heal. And after a long time of not feeling your emotions, you're so closed off to yourself, you're so closed off to life, you become frozen. You become frozen and detached, and you're like almost, I know somebody specifically who I'm thinking of who denies all of her emotions, and she's like a non-person. Like, she's so frozen, and I feel compassion, because it's painful to be in that place. And once you repress your so many emotions, it's just like you're skating on an ice pond. Like, it's slippery, and you're not sure what's underneath, and you're scared that it's what's underneath, because you're afraid that it could kill you. And it can kill you unless you wade through it. Once you open your heart to everything that you're afraid could kill you, you become so much stronger. And that was my experience after cancer, after I opened myself up to everything that I feel, and And then I was able to heal, and it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. Healing is not pretty. Facing the dark night of the soul is not pretty. I would take pillows and bang them against walls. I would scream in my car. I would cover my face with a pillow and scream into the pillow. You know, my then boyfriend, now husband, was so worried that someone would call the cops, like a neighbor, because of all the stuff that was going on. But for the first time in my life after cancer, like, I didn't care. No one told me that I was strong after cancer because I lost my mind. But in truth, I had found my heart for the first time. And that experience gave me so much, a greater ability to go on and to follow my heart, and to be real and authentic, and to love myself no matter what, because this is unconditional love, right? To just love yourself no matter what you feel. So I wanted to tell my story in this live stream, and I also wanted to give you hope that, you know, that I just want to change the conversation around mental illness. And there's a lot of people doing great work today, but it's not an illness to feel. It's not an illness to be sad. And I know people always say there's a difference between feeling sad and blue and being depressed, yada, yada, yada. I get it. I've been there. I've wanted to die, you know, I've totally been there. But at the core, there was a deep desire of, someone is coming to save me. Someone's coming to save me. The universe will feel sorry for me and my sadness and change my life for me. It's a very victim mentality. You have to be strong to get out. You have to be strong. You have to be willing to feel. You have to be willing to, like, tell all of those doctors who are shoving prescription pads in your face, like, no thanks, I don't want them. And, you know, some people medicine is fine, and I'm not a therapist, but you know what? Therapy never helped me. Therapists messed me up more good than they did. And, you know, and that's an important part of my story. That doesn't have to be your story. There's a lot of people who do go to therapists and experience change, but I just think it's important to get away from this idea that it's flawed biology. It's not. It's repressed emotion, and when you allow yourself to feel, then you can heal. So I hope that helps somebody today. I'm going to be talking more about this. And if you want to download a free guided meditation for emotional healing, go to SuzanneHeim.com. It's really powerful. It's just a process of using your awareness to tune into your emotions and to feel them and heal them, so that you can connect to yourself and so that you can heal. So I hope this resonated with you, and I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Bye-bye.